Do I say good morning or good afternoon or good evening?
It's afternoon here where I am.
Are you in Tbilisi right now?
Yes, I am.
Great. That's a
Yeah.
lovely name. How are you, Douglas?
I'm great. I'm great. Just
Great.
working on editing here. How are you?
Great, actually. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to this short, hopefully, interview. I have a ton of questions to you, but first of all, allow me to introduce myself. My
Please.
name is Walid. I'm a PhD researcher in Baghdad, and I'm a YouTuber, not the kind of YouTuber that you expect. I'm targeting English learners in Iraq, so people who study
Awesome.
English as a second language, and I try to interview pioneers in the field of linguistics and language. The reason I'm interviewing right now is because you are such a popular figure in Iraq right now. You have made probably you
That's
don't
awesome.
know probably you don't know that, but a lot of people actually are watching your videos, following your channel, talking about you while you're sleeping. You have no idea how many people are talking about you in cafeterias around the country.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Well,
um,
thank you.
I have four questions. I've jotted them down here, and I'm sorry it was a quick, but I seized the opportunity because you never know what happens on Saturday. Maybe something good happens and you just forget about me.
Right. No, yeah, I'm glad we could make it work, and this is
uh,
perfect.
First of all, tell me about yourself and why do you travel around the countries?
So, yeah, I when I started my YouTube channel, I was working full time in New York. I was
Mhm.
working for Walmart.com actually. So doing some e-commerce and like relationship management and
Perfect.
basically running a product category for the website. And
Mhm.
I decided to start this YouTube channel after I'd been watching similar channels for years, and I just really love them.
Like Casey
And
Neistat?
yeah, people like that, and even
Wow.
just smaller channels, but
Mhm.
like really travel focused, and especially like to unusual countries. Um, and yeah, it just like inspired me a lot. And basically,
When
I saw.
allow me
Sorry, go ahead.
to do some interruptions here and there because I'm very curious about
Yeah, of course.
your journey and your adventure. When you say that inspired me, do you have a niche figure on YouTube that you follow that just inspired you? Because that's probably going to be our next beacon to look for. Well, we're looking for you right now. You're such a popular figure in the country, and a lot of people actually are talking about you and they're learning from what you say, and they are very happy. So I'm saying thank you on behalf of
Mhm.
the whole country of Iraq for
Thank you.
sending a positive vibe about the country. Once you Google Iraq in Google, sadly speaking, you just see um, you know kind of
Mhm.
bad images of war, of crimes, of blood. So you have reflected a very positive and hospitable, um, you know, kind of environment in the country that is conducive to accepting other cultures and welcoming people and visitors from around the globe. I'll come
Thank you
to
so
that
much.
part, but let me ask you again the question since I've digressed a lot. Do you have any public figure or niche person that you follow on YouTube that you recommend?
Yeah, I'd say like my several top favorites of mine. One would be Indigo Traveler. I think
Uh-huh.
he's probably the most similar to like the kind of videos I make, just kind of going out
Perfect.
exploring, going
Mm-hmm.
to unusual places that are kind of misunderstood, perhaps. Um, and then I also like a channel called Bald and Bankrupt. It's a little more lighthearted and kind of fun, but I think he really has incredible adventures. And then um, there's a channel called Colin a Broadcast that I'm a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
That's really focuses on like bargaining and stuff, but I just find it amazing, and I think that's always useful to study up on when you're doing this kind of travel.
Okay, great.
So yeah.
So, well, tell us. Well, let me just shift to and transition to our list of questions here. You mentioned that you started working at Walmart and then you transitioned to another job. So, Why would this transition be to adventure and world and seeing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole countries?
So I knew I would want to get to do something like this at some point. But basically I started my YouTube channel when Saudi Arabia opened up for tourism for the first time. I decided like, all right, that's a good opportunity to go to a place that is really not documented almost at all on YouTube. And maybe it'll give me a little boost because I'll be like one of the first ones to go and show it on YouTube. So I did that, ended up going really well. And I was still working at Wall. So I went home, I was working, then COVID hit. So that happened. And I was kind of doing it casually, kind of on the side as a hobby. Then in August of last year, I got laid off from my job, which was actually total blessing in disguise. They laid off like hundreds of people. But it kind of gave me the little kick that I needed to go and like commit to doing this full time, if you will. And so as soon as that happened, luckily they gave me like a pretty good severance package, and I felt like I was in the right position to give this a shot. So I took off and have been traveling full time since January of this year.
The camera and lens you use?
It's called Osmo Pocket. I think I have it right here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's tiny. Just this little thing on a gimbal.
That gives people hope that you don't need to go heavy package on your backpack in order to document the kind of journeys that you have. Now, what were your expectations before coming to Iraq, honestly speaking?
Yeah. Well, I've traveled a fair amount in the Muslim world up until the point before I went to Iraq. So I don't think I had any of these really outlandish thoughts. Like people would always joke with me, like, did you think we rode camels to work and stuff? And like,
was it
none of that stuff, none of the really ridiculous stuff. But I'd say
were there any security concerns that you had on top of your head? You know, it's a conflict zone. Some people, some media, quoting Fox News, say that the country is not stable. There's a lot of conflict going on. Probably the whole post-2006 event and the clashes of ISIS in 2014. So all of that culminated in people having very negative, pessimistic kind of perception of the whole country. So was it on your checklist, or you just decided to come and visit the country for a particular reason, like discovering the civilization, or just checking the holy shrines and checking the marshes and something else?
Well, I think that whole element of, it's like, it has that whole stigma with it was part of the appeal for me. And then I'm also just personally very interested in like current events and kind of foreign relations. And so all of the recent history, while a lot of it is tragic, is super interesting to me. And then of course, I've had great experiences in the Arab world, and an opportunity came up to visit it. And I thought, how could I turn it down? I definitely had some concerns, and like, it's kind of like the more you read on the internet, the more you get into your own head. But I just decided, I just kind of assessed it and realized like it was worth it. And, I don't feel like there was any major risk. I mean, of course things can go wrong, but that can happen anywhere. So I felt pretty good about it.
How did you find the country, and what was your first station in Iraq? By first, first place that you paid the visit to?
We flew into Baghdad, which was just, I haven't felt that way about like landing in a new country in a long time. Just like the anticipation and excitement, and like I remember seeing Baghdad International Airport out the plane window and just being like, "Is this real?" So
same feeling when I landed in Washington, Dulles.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Yeah, exactly.
District of Columbia.
So it was just amazing and just kind of surreal. And then from there, we just hit the ground running and went toured all around Baghdad. And from there,
I would have taken you in my car had we just arranged that beforehand. I would definitely be more than happy actually to document that as part of English experience, since you're a native speaker of English. So, and since my channel has around 250K followers on my Facebook page, it would have been a great deal, probably just to document that part. But definitely next time, give me a call. I will definitely be more than happy actually to take you on a tour to some delicious food places here in this, you know, in my hometown of Baghdad.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I certainly will. And I hope I can be back very soon.
Sure.
Hopefully not in the middle of summer this time, maybe in one of the cooler months.
Okay. So jumping to my third question,
Yeah.
do you have any interesting observations about the places that you've paid a visit? I saw that you were in Karbala and in the south, and you know, renting a taxi or just walking in the streets. How did you find people there?
I found the people to just be really just amazing. I don't know. There was no, you know, I spent a lot of time in Egypt, and I love Egypt. I absolutely adore Egypt. But there's that whole element of like scamminess, and you know, because their tourism sector is so developed.
Yeah.
And you know, people, oh, my friend, come here, come to my shop, that kind of thing. I didn't see any of that in Iraq. It was just genuine welcome and curiosity and both ways. Like, I think people were interested in what is this guy doing walking around the streets of Baghdad, and vice versa as well, trying to learn as much as I could about people. But like, it was great.
Even for me, like when I have a friend of mine just walking downtown Baghdad and we switch to English, people just start looking at us, because this kind of feeling that an endearment to probably visitors and tourists is just deep rooted in the DNA of the country. I'm not trying to polish, but that doesn't mean that there are no probably places where might not be safe to walk around. Sure, but that's probably even in New York or in the suburbs of Detroit, like some places you're going to be able to walk at night, you know.
Every major city in the US, for
it's
sure.
just like any other country.
Exactly.
My next question is, do you recommend people to visit the country, and why? Would be great if you give me 3 reasons.
Okay. Well, the answer is yes. I would say, like, I wouldn't tell someone who's never left the US to just head straight to Iraq as your first destination traveling internationally, just because I think there are certain elements of it, especially if you're not with a tour guide, that are like, you know, there's checkpoints and there's just some confusion from a lot of officials, like, what are you doing here? I got stopped a couple times, but through all the checkpoints and everything, it was never a negative experience. It was just, there was just a lot of steps involved. And I think that could be alarming to some people who are less experienced. But if you feel comfortable with it, I think I would 100% recommend it. And the reasons, man, top 3. Well, number 1, far and away, is just the people. It's just some of the most lovely people I've met anywhere in the world. And I truly mean that. Just so welcoming, so kind, so generous, and so just hospitable. It was just amazing. And I didn't even want to leave, despite the heat, which was
that's part of the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, talking about the heat here, particularly, I met a German professor. She is working in Baghdad, and I was like, what made you just leave the beauty of Berlin and come and settle in Baghdad for the last couple of months? And she said, well, there are 3 things. The unpredictable day that you have, because you never know what happens the next day. You got a lot of plans. Some of the plans change. Second, the temperature, because it's kind of boring in Germany because you know what temperature you have next year. And
absolutely.
third, the air dust, the dust in the air, because we miss that in Germany.
Really? Oh my gosh.
So probably that's like, that goes in alignment with the kind of things that you just mentioned. Heat is part of the experience of just getting in the country here.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced before, but yeah, I feel like it was a rite of passage for me. Yeah. And yeah, the other things would just be the amount of history that there is there. I feel like people with all of the recent history and the current events and the war and all the, you know, stuff you hear about on the news, I think people forget that Iraq is literally the cradle of civilization. And definitely, if it were not for, you know, all the recent stuff that's happened, you know, this would be on par with like ancient Rome in terms of the number of sites and the amount of sheer history and ruins and everything that's there. So that was just like incredible. And I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't realize the scale of it. Where do you recommend people go if
they have their first experience, you know, getting into the country?
Well, I think Baghdad, I think you can't miss it. I loved Baghdad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
What do you
so
love about Baghdad,
cosmopolitan. Yeah, I
particularly?
think it was so cosmopolitan. It was so just different and than what you might expect coming from the West. It was so
Uh-huh.
modern in a lot of places and really secular. That was one of my biggest surprises. And I know places like Karbala that are more religious are not as
Mhm.
much, at least in the way people dress and stuff. But Baghdad, I felt, was just similar almost to a lot of places in the US, like the way people dress and things like that. So I don't think people from the US would expect that kind of thing. So
What
I
kind
just
of
found it an eye-opening
what
experience.
what kind of misconceptions that you found wrong about the whole Baghdad city and the whole country that probably people just well, either overestimate or underestimate or just have a misconception about?
Well, coming from America, I think one of the biggest things for me would be that people there don't hate American people, American citizens,
Mm-hmm.
which, I had some friends from back home basically tell me, don't tell them you're American, like they're going to hate you or try to kill you or something. And this is why I kind of went out of my way on the videos to tell as many people as I could that I was American and get their reactions. And you see it even in the feedback I get online. It's like people may have a problem with the US government. They may not like, politics or whatever else, but people everywhere across the globe, I think, are really able to differentiate between individuals and citizens and the governments. And so I never once felt anything less than totally welcome there. That was a big takeaway for me.
I'm surprised that you didn't have any comment to say about Baghdadi food or the whole country's food.
That was going to be my third point, the overall point.
Okay.
Yeah, the food. It was amazing. Some of the best I've had in
What
the
did
Middle
you
East. Yeah, I
try?
loved it. I tried, oh man, well, we had a bunch of different kebabs. We had kuba. We
Kibbeh.
had
Same.
kuba, yeah. We had a bunch of sweets. What's the one from Najaf and Karbala that's tahin?
Tahini or
Not,
tahini or
yeah,
something. Dahini.
tahin, yeah. So there were so
Dahina
many
is
good
also one of the delicious sweets in Karbala and Najaf. Yeah. That's
so many things.
that's such a great and beautiful experience that you've gone through so far. How many days did you stay here?
Stayed about 2 weeks, so around 14 days.
Wow. So I assume that you are a native speaker of Arabic now.
I wish. Sure.
How did you find Arabic? Like, is it difficult for you to learn any kind of Iraqi or Arabic words that you learned?
Well, yes, it is difficult. I find it very difficult, but it's interesting. Every Arabic speaking country that I go to, I feel like I need to relearn certain phrases. Like I started in Saudi Arabia and they always say kif halik, and then I went to Egypt and they say zayak for how are you?
Like that,
and then I went to
Shonik.
Yeah, shlonik and shakumaku, which I really like. So yeah, but I've tried to pick up a few phrases here and there.
Well, actually, it's there's the modern standard Arabic, which is understood by absolutely probably 99.9% of native speakers of Arabic, and there is the Levantine Arabic, and there is the Moroccan and Algerian that's has a mix of French and Arabic. And I think for any student, because I've been to the United States for 3 years, I've finished my master's degree in language and linguistics there. So I've been teaching some American students when I was there. Actually, I was a faculty member of Arabic department, and
no kidding.
It's such an easy way for Americans to understand the difference. Just once you started introducing the whole geographical differences there, they would definitely be able to catch up gradually to the point of understanding the whole structure of language. They categorize Arabic as the third, I think on the third category of the most difficult languages, along with Chinese and other Asian languages. However, from an English speaking point of view, since I've learned English as a second language here locally in a village south of Baghdad, I didn't have any sources, and I'm not just talking to you right now. The idea of learning Arabic is not impossible. It's actually very possible once you understand the tricks and traits of language. And that definitely is going to give you the upper hand once you start understanding the whole geographic differences there. I would definitely give you some introductory lessons for free. If you're interested in future, just hit me up with an email. I will definitely be giving that to you for free.
Thank you. I might have to take you up on that. It's definitely a goal of mine long term.
Just let me know. I will give you the gist of the language. Arabic language is like a house, and there are certain gaps where you can enter the house without just breaking the lock of the front door, you know. Anyways, I understand that you're busy and you have such a busy schedule in Tbilisi and in the country where you are. I'm looking forward to see your next video on your channel. Just to let you know, a huge number of people are watching you and following your channel. I'll definitely recommend them to watch more. And the next video that I'll post here, please stay tuned. Thank you so much for this lovely meeting and accepting of this.
Thank you, Waleed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for reaching out. This was a lot of fun, and hope to see you in Baghdad someday.
Sure. You're more than welcome. My door, well, as we say in Arabic, the whole house doors are open to you. So just whenever you come in Baghdad, please feel free to hit me with an email or a message. I'll be definitely taking you in a tour. If you have any friends just coming by, I can take them and walk them in Mutanabi, where we sell books. People sell books, different kind of books, and for very dirt cheap prices, and some delicious meals around, you know, that
awesome. Thank you so much.
Them there. More than welcome. Thank you. Douglas, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to see you soon.
Anytime. Likewise. Talk to you soon, Waleed.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.